All new today, Dr. Matthew Hayes sits down with me, Chad Jones, on the Chattin with Chad show. Stay tuned.
Chattin with Chad is the place to be. Every day at 7 p.m. turn on your TV. You might see some things that you never see, but at the end of the day, it's reality. We talk about things that's good and bad, but it always stay good when you're chatting with Chad. We got spirit, got soul, got uplifting things, but you'll always be happy with the joy he brings. He's one of those guys, he's one of a kind. Any problems that you have, just keep them in mind. Before you know, he'll be there right by your side. It's almost like he's a spirit sent from the sky. It's the Chattin with Chad. It's the Chattin with Chad. It's the Chattin with Chad. It's the Chattin with Chad.
The Chad with Chad Show.
It all began on November 16, 2011. Pediatrician Dr. Matthew Hayes takes seat of former board president Andy Milteka. Okay, everybody, I'm here with Dr. Matthew Hayes, pediatrician at UTMB. Nice to have you on the show, doctor.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome, you're welcome. So when did you receive your doctorate degree?
I graduated from medical school from UTMB here in Galveston in 1994.
What age were you?
I was 27 years old.
27. When you were 27, when you got the title Dr. Matthew Hayes, were you fully prepared for the job?
No, when you finish medical school, although you're called a doctor, you really need to complete a residency. And I chose to do pediatrics. And residencies can vary in length. Pediatric residency is 3 years. So I was done with my training when I was 30 in 1997.
When you, being a pediatrician, this is for all the women out there, what books would you recommend for pregnant women?
There's a good series of books. We usually recommend the What to Expect. It's what to expect when you're expecting, what to expect during the first year of life, what to expect during the next year of life. They have a whole series that goes along, and then you just get the new book based on the age of your baby.
Okay. When do you recommend a baby to start solid foods, table foods?
Well, solid foods like baby foods or pureed table foods by American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that mom should try to wait as close to being 6 months of age for their baby as possible. It decreases the likelihood of food allergies or other types of problems. So as close to 6 months as possible.
Dr. Hayes, some mothers do plan to breastfeed. What are your views of breastfeeding?
Breastfeeding is the single most important thing that a mother can do for the baby.
Is it?
It is. And they should start from the beginning. If a mom is able to breastfeed, it gives the baby both antibodies, which fights off infection, and also the calories and the nutrients that a baby needs. It's also least likely to be allergenic because it's coming directly from the mom of the baby.
Do you have children?
I do. I have three.
3 children?
3 children.
How has being a doctor affected your relationship with them? Has it affected your relationship with them in a positive way or in a negative way?
I would say in a positive way, but children usually, anytime a parent has a particular title, I don't think the child thinks of them as that particular title. It is not recommended that a physician treat their own family members, especially in pediatrics, mostly because parents get used to hearing their children complain about things that sort of becomes commonplace. And so if you treat your child for everything, you tend to miss important things because you're used to them talking to you or complaining. And so to be objective, I actually take my children and they see one of my partners in my office because it's just more objective and better care.
Being a doctor, I think being a doctor is a 24-hour, 7 days a week job. I think it's the most difficult job there is. When are you completely satisfied at your work as being a doctor?
I'm not sure you should ever be completely satisfied. I think, and I've made this comment on many occasions, I think any day in which you learn something should be a good day. And so I've been practicing for 17 years, and there's not a day that goes by that there's not something new or something different, and you not only learn it from a textbook or the internet, but you also learn it from your patients and the parents, because each person's different, and you can't treat them all exactly the same way, because a lot of being a pediatrician is dealing with the emotional and mental part of a person's makeup, and not just their physical part about their heart or their stomach or their ears. But as far as what's the most satisfying, when you see a child that's really sick and then they come back in for follow-up and they're smiling and playful and happy, and that's the part that's the most satisfying, where you feel like you've accomplished something and made them well.
Okay. Yes or no, Dr. Hay? During your 17-year career, have you ever felt one of your patients was being abused?
Yes. I'm not sure there's any pediatrician in America that wouldn't answer that question, yes. Unfortunately, child abuse is too common of a problem.
What did you do?
Well, by law, any medical provider, pediatrician, nurse, doesn't matter, is required to report that to Child Protective Services. And so if you feel that there's imminent harm, you actually have to call the police and not allow the child to go home with the setting. If it is a feeling that it is not happening in the household, but happening elsewhere, and they'll be safe in their current setting, then you can contact CPS either by a 1-800 number, or there's actually an online reporting, which is how most people do it. But you're required within a short period of time to make that report. It actually is an illegal offense for a pediatrician not to report child abuse.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
Wow. So you have to.
You have to do it. If you're concerned, even if you're not sure, for the safety of the child, if there's a question in your mind, you need to make the report. I would rather apologize for being cautious than have not made the report and have something happen to a child.
Why do you think you have succeeded in a field where many have not?
I think the biggest thing in being a pediatrician is listening to the parents. You can know a lot about medicine and how different body parts work, but most people go to their doctor because they're concerned about something, and they want to know that you've heard their concerns and that you care about their concerns and that you help address them. Sometimes the answer is you don't have something to fix them, but they at least feel like you have listened and have cared about what they've had to say. And I feel like I'm a pretty good listener.
You do feel like you're.
I do.
Good. Some people would think that Dr. Hay has it all. What don't you have?
I would actually say that, given my wife and my family and my job, that I have probably as much as I need. So I would have to agree. I'm very happy and content in my life.
Okay. We'll be right back, people. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
I married my wife, Michelle, who is a BOI. And when you marry a BOI, you're going to remain in Galveston for the rest of your life.
Before you touch that remote, notice Chad's talent choice of the week. 6 minutes till sunrise.
Oh, can you hear the sound? The morning darkness going down. sunrise starts to appear. Yes, we're here, 6 minutes till sunrise. Members are Tanika, run and shine. We're gonna party till the break of dawn. Enjoy the show, come back for more. We will see you next time. What's up, everybody? I'm Sean Taylor.
I'm Tanika King.
And I'm Ron John.
And together we make up
6 minutes to sunrise.
He is married to Michelle Falke, a BOI and graduate of Ball High School, class of 1986. Their oldest son, Joseph, is a freshman at Stephen F. Austin State University. His 2 daughters both attend G.I.S.D. schools, with Alexandre is a sophomore at Ball High School and Madison, a 7th grader at Austin Middle School. Okay, so we're back with Dr. Matthew Hay. It has been a pleasure so far. I want to ask you, Dr. Hay, what do you do to relax?
Some people wouldn't call it relaxing, but I actually coach my daughter's soccer team.
How is that going?
That's going really good. I have been coaching the same group of girls for most of the last 9 or 10 years. I've watched them from when they were very little to now they make up most of the varsity soccer team at Ball High School, and so I'm their club coach. The other thing that I do is I deer hunt. It's nice to go and sort of commune with nature, peace and quiet, no cell phones, just nature.
Deer hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Is it scary?
Hunting the deer is not scary. Everyone who knows me really well knows that this last hunting season, while sitting at a hunting stand at 6 o'clock in the morning, I had a large owl fly out of a tree and slam into the back of my head in the middle of the dark, thinking I was prey when it saw the moonlight shine off my glasses. And so that was a little scary. And so, yes, my office staff have left little owls and pictures of owls and things all around the office to remind me of when I was attacked by an owl during this last hunting season.
Oh, what an experience.
Yes, it was. It's those kind of stories that make the fun part of life.
Yeah. What was the most important day of your life, would you say?
Each time that you have an important day, you probably think that's it. Looking back now, I would say for me it was when I married my wife, Michelle.
You're a doctor, pediatrician. What brought you to Galveston, G.I.S.D.? Why did you choose Galveston Independent School District as a choice to volunteer your time?
Well, when I finished my college at Stephen F. Austin in Nacogdoches, I came down to Galveston and did my medical school and residency, and then got hired to be a pediatrician at one of their clinics. My practice is actually in Texas City, even though we live on the island. But I married my wife, Michelle, who is a BOI. And when you marry a BOI, you're going to remain in Galveston for the rest of your life. And I've been very pleased with that. So when you have children, they attend school. And so my kids have been at Parker and Oppie. They've been at Weiss. They've been there. I have one currently at Austin, and they've been at Ball High. And so we've had a variety of different schools. My wife graduated from Ball High School in '86, and which I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying. And she actually also attended Central. I'm not sure I'll get her elementary schools, but so okay. My family, including her father and mother, are both Ball High graduates. Being part of G.I.S.D. has been something that the entire family has done, except for myself, because I didn't live here in Galveston when I graduated from high school. And my father always used to say, that it's really easy to complain about things. The hard part is, instead of complaining, coming up with a solution for a problem. And so, about 5 years ago, G.I.S.D was asking for community volunteers to be part of reconfiguration committees and rezoning committees, where our number of children that lived on the island had been dropping, and they needed to make some important decisions about what schools should be open, who should go to which schools, and how we should do the zoning. And I was on the reconfiguration committee, and I chaired the rezoning committee. And so I found that I really, really liked interacting with the staff and the teachers, and that I felt like that it was an important thing. Again, going back to have a solution, don't complain. And then when Mr. Mytelka decided to step down after 6 great years of serving on the school board, and he was in my district, he and I had a discussion, and I decided I wanted to run for his spot, and the voters were kind enough to elect me for trustee position 5.
How did that feel when you were elected in?
It's always feels great when other people feel that you're a good candidate for a position, and I hope in the last year and a half that I have demonstrated that that I care about the job and have done a good job.
Being a pediatrician, though, Dr. Hay, how has that helped you in being a decision maker in the school district, for the school district, rather?
Well, as we talked about, pediatricians are advocates of children, not just their physical health, but their mental and emotional health. And I have sort of a subspecialty, more of an interest in ADHD and behavioral health. So I already dealt with a lot of children and their school problems and how those things interacted together. And so when you do or help take care of children on a daily basis in your job, it's easier to see how those children are impacted by decisions made at the school. Because the most important thing in any school district are the kids. That's why teachers come to work, that's why administration comes to work. The children are the reason why schools exist, and our job is to make schools better for the children.
What are the characteristics of a child or a person that has ADHD?
Well,
are there any particular characteristics that they might have?
There's symptoms that a child can have, and there's 2 different types. You can have inattentive problems, or you can have sort of overactive inattentive problems. But they have a hard time paying attention, they have trouble staying on task, they get distracted easily, they lose or forget things, they may get out of their seat when they're not supposed to, they have trouble playing quietly, they have problems with impulse control, interrupting others, making poor decisions, and those impact their ability to learn in the classroom setting.
What does it mean to be the Board of Trustees president?
I think it's a great honor. I think the important thing for a president is that each board member brings their own qualities and characteristics and personalities and their sort of past history. And there's 7 of us, and each of those are equally important. The president's is certainly not more important, and if anything, in my opinion, it probably is a little less important, because I think the president's job, or a good president's job, is more organization, setting agendas. There are a lot of rules and regulations you have to follow as that are legal, and so the job of the president is to make sure that everything is running smoothly. And I think the president's vote should be considered more of the tie-breaking vote. Not that they can't vote all the time on important items, but that a president's vote shouldn't be the first vote cast. The president's vote should be the last vote cast, because I think it's important that the rest of the board is sort of voicing their opinion. The president shouldn't be driving their path or goal. They should be supervising the rest of the board and the district so things are running smoothly, trying to keep the bumps out of the road. And so if you have a 3-3 tie, president's important. If you have a 6-0 vote, the president's just the 7th vote. And that's, in my opinion, how it should be with a good president.
We'll be right back.
I think the key in life is remembering that just because it's different doesn't make it wrong. I think too many people think that if it's not the way you want to do it, that there's something wrong with it.
They sounded so good the first time we had to bring them back for more. 6 Minutes to Sunrise singing Roberta Flack's #1 hit, Killing Me Softly.
Strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song.
When he isn't seeing patients, Dr. Hay enjoys coaching his daughter's youth soccer team. Being the Board of Trustees president, what would you say? Do you believe that a leader is born, or do you believe that a leader is made?
I think that it's more that a leader is made. I think that anyone that works hard and puts their mind to something and learns to listen to others can develop into a leader.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think who your parents are or which city or state you were born in or what your socioeconomic status is determines how good of a leader you're going to be. I think every single person has a chance to be a leader, to be on the school board, to be a school board president, to be a mayor, to be a governor. It's about how much work you want to do and how much time and effort you want to put in.
Okay, so we know that you are the president. We know that. What exactly are your responsibilities?
Well, the school board meets, there's anywhere from 2 to 4 times a month. And there are finance meetings and there are the board meetings you see on TV. And so the meetings, a board president is, we set an agenda. I meet with the superintendent. We talk about what's going to be on the agenda. Those agendas have to be posted a week in advance so we all stay important with the law. And then we supervise and make sure we stay on track. It's easy in life to get off on tangents, and the president's job is to sort of supervise those meetings, keep the meetings flowing. I chair both the finance committee and then the school board meetings, and there are other school board members that chair the other committees, but I attend those so I know what's going on in our curriculum and our policy meetings. But it's really, it's more to me keeping the train on the track. That's what I think the president's job is probably the most important.
What trajectory, what path do you plan to take G.I.S.D.?
Well, I would say that I don't have a path that I would take the district, and what I mean by that is that the school board, and school boards are made up of regular people who are not educators. Our school board, just to name a few, is made up of a postal carrier and a pediatrician and a psychologist and a banker and a construction worker and you know, an ice maker distributor. And so our job is to find the best superintendent, and I will tell you, in my opinion, we have the best superintendent in the state of Texas, and let them hire their administration and let the people who were trained their whole life to do this for a living come to you with what educators feel is the best path for a district. And then our job is to make sure that that's the correct path and to make sure we can afford that path. Because half of being a school board member, if not more, is making sure that financially the budget matches all the wonderful things we'd like to do with our children. And so the easy general answer to your question would have been to say to raise grades and test scores and do those things, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to raise a group of children's test scores. That's going to be our wonderful teachers and their staff and the administration and our superintendent. And so our job is to keep it moving in the right direction, which it is doing, and not get in the way of the train.
What is a typical day like for you here at G.I.S.D?
Well, unlike the administrations and the teachers who actually are here every day, most of the time a school board member's day related to the school doesn't happen between 8 and 3 or 8 and 5. We usually have meetings that occur in the evenings, and so our finance meeting is usually on a Tuesday night from 5 until 9 o'clock. Our school board meetings are from 6:30 until they end. And I try to attend as many school events as possible, whether that is the National Honor Society's induction ceremony, or the National Junior Honor Society's induction ceremony, or a sporting event, or the top 50 academic student presentation that's coming up. And so we are here for the meetings in the evenings and attending events, but we don't work the 8 to 5 jobs like our important teachers and staff do. During that time, I'm seeing patients in my office. And so it's not really a day at the school for us, it's the evenings that we usually have most of our time.
What makes your role so challenging?
Well, I would say that,
or is it challenging?
To me, there are two things that make it challenging. The first thing is that the money a school district receives to fund programs is determined by a group of legislators in the state of Texas. And that money is based on what these group of people feel you should receive per student. And I will admit that trying to fund all the different school districts in the state is difficult. I'm not saying that they don't have a hard job, but there are so many differences between schools. Like schools that are on the coast have much higher hurricane insurance. Schools that are in the West Texas have much more transportation costs between busing children. But there is very little that helps determine why one school should get more than another. And so some districts are labeled rich districts simply because they have a higher property tax base than other districts which are labeled poor. And there is nothing rich about a rich district or poor about a poor district when it comes to whether the people who live in the district have money or can afford things, sort of based on their socioeconomic class. And so schools have to send money. Galveston ISD sends money every year back to the state of Texas from our property taxes. And so we collect $1 and we send 25 cents of every dollar we collect back to the state. And we then have that 75 cents on the dollar to spend. And we don't get any back from the state to make up the difference, and that's part of the Robin Hood funding. Well, we still have to pay our teachers, and we still have to fund our hurricane insurance and all the other things that go along. And so the easy answer is let's have more teachers and let's have more programs and let's have everything new. The problem is that you've got to fund that. And so if the funding wasn't an issue, then we could do more things. You could have a classroom that has a larger number of students that need extra help, and you could bring another teacher in. which would benefit the child. There's no one that questions that at all, except that you have to pay for it. And so the challenge is finding how you can pay for something when nobody's giving you any money. And so our district has been very good and very creative about getting grants to pay the difference, because we are considered a rich school district in the state of Texas, because we have lots of houses on the West End that are appraised for more. Galveston is. We send money away. We're a rich school district. Not that our people that attend schools are rich, but that the district is a rich district. The other challenge to me is, and to me this is the biggest one that we can have an impact on, and that is perception. There are lots of people who still think of Galveston Independent School District as a place that they're afraid to send their children, or a place where scary things happen at the high school. You'll hear stories of people that say, oh no, your child goes to Ball High School. And they don't. There is nothing, my kids go to Ball High School and they love it. There is nothing scary about our schools. And there are so many people that have not taken the time to come and look and see. Perceptions of how things were 7, 8, 10 years ago is not how things are now. But it takes a long time to change a person's perception. And there are lots of civic leaders that have visited the schools. And it is great when you hear them say, we're wrong. We totally thought of this as different. When you walk through the high school halls, it is orderly. There is no chaos. It's not this place of, oh no, we've got to run from classroom to classroom because something bad's going to happen. So that's, to me, perception is the thing that we can change the most, because it's all wrong. And I routinely will tell people, come and visit the schools. Sign in, get a name tag, get a tour. If you're worried about it being sort of faked, make it an unannounced tour. You will be amazed at how great our schools are and how your perception is wrong.
How do you feel about working with people that work differently than you do? Because I think about when I worked, there were some of my colleagues that worked differently than I did, and it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but I went with it. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think over the years, when you're a pediatrician, there's a lot of perception on how raising children are done differently. And they're not wrong. There's a lot of things that are done. So from the beginning, I've dealt with, whether it's colleagues or parents that have a different idea or way of doing things. And I think the key in life is remembering that just because it's different doesn't make it wrong. I think too many people think that if it's not the way you want to do it, that there's something wrong with it. And there are many ways to do something right. It just may be different. And that's the hardest thing to keep in mind, is that no human being is ever completely right.
Dr. Hay! We'll be right back, people. More with Dr. Hay. We'll be right back. What would you say to a parent that are thinking about sending their child to G.I.S.D? What would you say to them? Okay, everybody, you just heard 6 Minutes to Sunrise. Introducing our next talent choice is sultry singer Tanya Nolan sings Original Woman. Everybody, Tanya Nolan.
I need your help. I'm listening to singing this new world, honey. I'm talking to me. I'm about to lose it, baby, if you don't get over here. I'm feeling like I'm on the top.
Back with Dr. Hay, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it.
What would you say to a parent that are thinking about sending their child to GISD? What would you say to them?
Well, I would say, as the Nike slogan says, just do it. I wouldn't hesitate at all. Like I said, all three of my kids have attended GISD schools, elementary, middle, and high school, and my children wouldn't go anywhere else. After the hurricane, we had to temporarily move off the island, and when the school district was trying to decide what to do, we enrolled our daughters into the intermediate schools in the League City area. And when there was a decision made that they would open schools, but we couldn't get back to our house, our children begged to get up at 5:30 in the morning and catch school buses in the mall parking lot in Texas City and be bused back to Galveston just so they could attend these schools. And so every morning they jumped out of bed, got ready, and got on buses so they could come to these schools, and they said they wouldn't have it any other way.
What makes you most proud about serving the district here?
I think G.I.S.D. is a big, giant family. I think that people go out of their way to help other people. And so I think that and it's also what happens on this island. You know, G.I.S.D. is a mini version of Galveston Island, and this is a community that cares for its neighbors. And so when somebody is involved in G.I.S.D. and you hear somebody say, "Oh, I just had a great experience, my child's doing so well," that's probably the proudest moment.
Dr. Hay, what is the meaning of your life?
Oh, that's a hard question. I think that it's about priorities, and so to me, at least for me, that's God and family, and then my job and the school district. And so it's about sort of bettering my life every day and trying to have a positive impact on everyone that I contact with. Because that's what you do for another person is what you're remembered by. Not by how much you have or what kind of car you drive, but whether you've touched or impacted another life.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's
Thank
great.
you, sir. You did good.
Well, I enjoyed it.
Dr. Hay, that was great. Okay, everybody, I hope you enjoyed Dr. Matthew Hay just as much as I did, and also our talent choice of the week, 6 Minutes Till Sunrise, and Tanya Nolan. Enjoy, everybody. Until we meet again, bye-bye.
I know, times get hard. You better wipe your tears, give God all your things. See, life is not easy, but times get hard. Keep your head up, stay strong, and have faith in God. He's straight out of G.I.S.D, born and raised where it goes now. He came from the bottom, but look where he at now. Long as you believe, then you will achieve. Don't ever let nobody come between you